Alright people, we have a situation here that says little Susie needs a new exhaust system. And here's the other situation we have. It's called an evap code, okay? An evap code is talking about purge valves, purge pumps, and evap canisters. This is for an 04 Hyundai Accent. And if you're saying to yourself, why would you put any kind of money in an 04 Accent? If you haven't seen the car market right now, this shows that you definitely don't know what's popping off in this country. Joe Biden has gotten to a situation where he has made even the oldest of cars right now worth money. You can't find a decent car right now without really getting in your wallet. And besides all that, me and little Susie have been around. Okay, me and little Susie have been around a while. It's been over a decade I've had this little car. I do want to go over a few things with you. The engine light stays on for about 70 miles. Or after about 70 miles, it comes on after I clear it. So, you know, I think with the 2004, you can have up to one unready or non-ready before they'll still inspect it. But we're in New York, so the clowns here that have made everything, it doesn't matter how good your car runs. If there's one molecule that says that it sets off a code in the evap canister or whatever, then your car won't be inspected and it will not be registered. So what I normally do is I get it fixed and register it, and then I patch it along until I'll actually drive 2 years on a 1-year inspection. Okay, and then every 2 years you won't be able to re-register it until you get the codes fixed. So anyway, that being said, to say all that, we have a few things. We're just going to try to fix this once and for all. The old evap canister had metal lines here, and they would rot out. I'm up in the Rust Belt where they dump copious amounts of salt on the roads. I see they've made this different now. They've actually improved it. These are all plastic, and they're all welded in. This evap canister, if you're wondering, I got it off of Rock Auto. I think it was $179. This here pump was about $89, and this purge valve was, I think, 32 bucks, something like that. The entire exhaust, I've got this part here is called your intermediate tube. It comes after the initial one that comes off the catalytic converter. So this is the one that comes off the cat right here. As you see, I do have the O2 sensor that I changed out of the car. That was not that old, and I checked it out. It looked really good. And there's the muffler system. Okay, I actually, if you remember one of my videos, I repaired a section here on my other one. I thought that was where the leak was, and turns out it was there, but there was also a couple other spots. And let me show you what I'm talking about. Here's the old system here, part of it. Okay, so there's the muffler, there's the intermediate piece, and there's the part that goes right to the bottom of the catalytic converter that I fixed. And as you see, those welds and stuff actually held up really nice. Now this big hole right here, you want to know what that is. That's where the bung was welded in to for the O2 sensor. Now I'll say this right now. I sprayed it, I soaked it, tapped it, and I even put MAP gas on it. It would not come off. It actually peeled the tin right out when I went to pull that off. You cannot get these bolts. You have to cut them. Okay. So that's the situation there. And then look at here. This is where it was leaking. I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but do you see this right here? There's a slot here. The gasket's blown out. It's more than just a gasket. Actually, the gasket, I'm looking at it, is actually in place right here. See it? I'm crumbling it off. The gasket was in place. The actual metal, the flange, is supposed to be thick like this one. The flange is actually wore down to a point where it's actually blowing through there. Okay, and then over here and you can see it better here. You see that? This is where it's blown through the flange. That's where it was leaking. And it sounded like a really like an unhealthy condition for the car. But again, I didn't want to get pulled over, so because currently, as you see, little Susie's been running for about 2 years with no inspection. Okay, no inspection. I strip it right off because there's no sense in letting the troopers go by and see a different color and then they pull you over. I just run this thing back and forth to the airport. I don't really do a lot with it other than that. I leave it at the airport, and if someone dings the door, we're not worried about it. But the thing is, she runs so darn good. I just put new plugs and wires on it. These are brand new. That got rid of the one code that was a misfire. It was actually arcing on the wire was no good. It was arcing against the coil. There's two coils here. But let's get back to the exhaust and the current repairs, what we're going to do. This is not that old. This is a couple years old. What I did was I ordered this out of Canada and put that on. That's the catalytic converter attached right to the exhaust manifold. Okay, this little car, as you see, I did fluid film it up here a little too late. I do have a lot of rust underneath. But, you know, I don't want to get rid of this car, you know. I've got her up on jack stands, I've got her up on ramps. And as you see, the fenders are just they're aftermarket fenders. I believe the hood was from the junkyard. A couple years back, I had two deer run out in front of me. And it wiped out the fenders, it wiped out the headlights, it wiped out the hood. I think they gave me $3,300. Now, I only paid $1,800 for this car in 2010, 2011 era. I got it out of New Jersey. The thing was in great shape. But I only paid $1,800 for it, people. And they gave me, years later, when I hit them deer, they gave me $3,300. And if you think I went to a body shop to do this and give them $3,300, you are out of your mind. I actually ordered them fenders and I got that hood out of a junkyard and got the lights offline and put it all together. I think I had $400 in it, and that gave me $2,900 to say, it doesn't matter what happens, I'm way ahead on this one. Well, there's a rundown on the little Suzie. And here's the other thing I want to show you on these. When you put these together with a new exhaust, you got to understand these guys they're not getting paid a lot of money, and they're trying to make them fast and cheap for you. Which I'm not looking for, you know, OEM here. I'm looking for something that's cheap, but yet closes up the noise and gets her back to a situation that'll run for 3 or 4 more years. You do want to take a flapper disc and clean off any high metal that's in here, because remember your gasket's got a seat here, and it's got it made up tight. Okay, you see this flange right here? How nice and straight that is? They welded that on nice and straight, okay? And they did a good job. They welded all the way around them. Well, I'm just going to say this. Now, this angle here, this is supposed to be like that for the catalytic converter. This angle, it's got a little tilt to it. That's supposed to be there. Okay, now here's the situation we're running into. We actually have 2 things wrong with this pipe. Do you see that pipe right there? I hope you can see it, but it's actually angled like this. I'm going to over dramatize it so you can see it. It's angled like this. And that one is supposed to be mated up to the other side of that other one that's actually straight. So I don't know if you can see that, but this actually, look how much, like in here, the pipe is really close to the edge, but up under here, there's a 1/4 of an inch or better here. So this tells me that this pipe got knocked that way in the jig when they welded it. So what I'm going to have to do, people, is I'm going to have to come in here better than half, and take this weld off here, and I'm going to have to take a hammer, and I'm going to have to tap this back straight. Then I'm going to have to re-weld it. Not a problem. I can fix that. I have a welder. We have a shop. But I'm just saying, these are the reasons you want to look everything over really good. Now, I could send this back and hope to get another one. I'm just not going to do that, okay? So what I've got to do, now think about this. If this other exhaust comes in, it's straight, and it sits like this. You see the gap at the bottom here? Your gasket can only handle so much, can only do so much, people. So it's going to want to be pulling tight like this when the gasket's, it's just going to be blowing out the bottom, making an exhaust leak, and you're going to be thinking to yourself, if you were just a regular Joe, thinking, well, I don't understand, I put a brand new exhaust, where could it be leaking? Well, you have to look it over, because this flange is way off. It needs to be moved in. It needs to be clocked. Okay? They did a really good job welding everything else up, okay, for being a cheap exhaust. They did miss one spot right here, people. I want you to take a look at this. I want you to look at this. And you tell me, you leave a comment below, what do you think happened here? Do you think Bobby Lou was in there welding, and then he was called for lunch and he just walked away? You know what I'm saying? And came back and said the situation is, I think I have it all, and forgot that he didn't continue? Or do you think that that was a Friday and the guy just didn't care, and he's just like saying, I can't afford nothing in Biden's America anyway, so I'm just going to leave it like it is and walk off? I mean, we're here to speculate, people. We don't know what could have happened. But what we do know is that if you're not doing it right, you damn sure ain't going to do it. And you can't say you're doing it if you don't do it right. So in the shop here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to make sure that that's right when it leaves the shop and goes on that car. We're going to finish that off because I don't want to have an exhaust leak and have it spitting and sputtering and all that. So we're going to go ahead and get these repairs done. The other thing I've got is the brakes are pulsating. So I got a couple rotors. I got some new brake pads. And we're going to go ahead and do that. I've got some, the rear brakes, we're going to pull them off and take a look at them. I think they're still good. I just want to make sure. In the rust belt, you've got to change these springs out often. Otherwise, they'll just corrode and lock up. I do have an adjuster. I think one of my adjusters was bad last time I got into it. But here's the other thing. When I went to pull that O2 sensor off, this literally ripped off the pipe, right? So I put it in a vise, I crimped it down, I tried to back that out. I even sprayed it, I heated it with MAP gas, it just wouldn't come. Here's what I had to do. Here's a little trick for you. You just need to relieve the pressure. Take a cutoff wheel and open it up a little bit, okay? And don't catch the threads now, but you open it up just a little bit. You can see the threads there. Just enough to catch, to make it want to break free. And then you take a cold chisel and drive this around and it'll come off. So there's more than one way to skin a cat, people. You just got to remember that when you're doing a project like this, you've got to be patient, okay? The main thing is patience here. This isn't something you're going to try to do and then hurry up and go catch the game on the couch and watch the football game, okay? I don't personally watch football. I don't care if you do. I'm just saying, if your situation says, I want to hurry up and watch the football game and I want to just try to hurry up and get this done, then just don't even do it. Do it another day, okay? Because this type of thing takes a lot of attention to detail. Like I showed you, you have to really look and see if everything mates up correctly before you put it together. The other thing is, we need to get this engine light out, people. We need to get it out. So that's the deal with little Evie. Little Evie is doing good. The sewing machine, we call her little Evie. We call her little Susie. We love her. You know, she's a good little rig. And we hope that you stay tuned, because when we're all done, we're going to turn around and see the situation that says, how quiet is it? But how will you know how quiet it is, okay, without actually first hearing it run? So let's do that. Let's get little Susie, and we'll go ahead and see if we can't touch it off. Okay? Oh, here we go. And she's standard, people. This is a standard model right here. When I say standard, that's a standard model. Okay? Now you
Financial planners, registered investment advisor.
Now you can see that this situation here, you are not going by a state trooper when it sounds like this. I mean, try to get to the airport when it sounds like that, people. Alright, so now that the neighbors know how it sounds, we're going to go ahead and put this exhaust together, and we're going to show you exactly, okay, we're going to show you exactly the situation of how it actually sounds with the new exhaust on it. So stay tuned. We've got new plugs, we've got a new oil change, and we've got a new attitude with this baby. We just want to get a couple more years out of it. We're going to try to find a donor, a good body, so that we can put all these other parts back into it and still have the legacy that says we're not going to buy an electric car at all costs, okay? We don't care how much that they subsidize it and try to force people. We're just not going to do it, people. All right, this is Brian. I'm over here at the compound. We're hoping you have a good day, and keep your vehicles running, people. It'll save you tons of money. I'm out.